Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Texas Family Fitness, Freeman Mazda Hyundai, and Worth the Poor. I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom. Welcome. It is April 19th, 2022. Tuesday. Got some Cowboys stuff to talk about. Today, we'll look at some day 2 linebackers. Y'all know me. It's 1 week away from the draft. I'm going to circle back to a position that I still believe is a need for the Cowboys, and that's the linebacker position. Now, they don't have to jump forward in day 1, right? Let's go take a look at some day 2 guys that if the player's there and it makes sense, to go for it. I got 5 guys, really 4, but it's my show. You know? Throwing somebody in there that's not really a linebacker, but hey, we'll make it happen. Also in the Roundup, the Cowboys begin their off-season workouts, and Dalton Schultz has some things to say about that and losing Amari Cooper, as well as someone else being there, a.k.a. Kelvin Joseph, at the workout. So, hey, maybe everything is everything with him, but per Michael Gelkin, that's not quite done just yet. So let me get up in this chat, give y'all a shout out for being here early and hitting that notification bell. What's up, Trey? Brian B. Alpha Mason, Mel Hayes was goody. B47, Vic, what up? Mark Smith, Professor O in the building. The Lunatic. Danny Savage in the building. Keith Shet, Blue Star TX73. Captain America, how does it, sir? John Jones. John Bone Jones? Nah. What up, Special K? Toxic Tom Downey, burner account. Matt Goddix. Sean Mike, not Shawn Michaels. Okay. Adrian Padilla, Grant Rain H2O was good. Over here on Facebook, Robert Shook, Balance Vic, Paul Garcia, Oscar Sullivan, Miller Corbett, and many more coming through. Appreciate y'all. What's up, D Block 88? Professor O says odds are we get a Chad Muma mention. Stay tuned, man. See, Professor O know me, and I'm not gonna mince my words with my favorite linebacker. He is probably my favorite linebacker on day 2, and yeah. He's in the list. We'll talk about why he's in the list. But yeah, it'll be a fun show. Y'all can call in if y'all want. Bring that up. 351-999-3787. Almost gave out my real number. I don't want y'all calling my real phone. 351-999-3787. Hit up the call-in line. We can talk about these prospects. But remember, these are just my 5 favorite guys. 5 guys I think that fit. Again, it's more like 4. And not the best, or maybe your best. And obviously, I'm leaving off Devin Lloyd, and I'm leaving off Nakobe Dean because those are the top 2 backers, consensus top 2 backers in this draft, and they're day 1 guys. But there may be a guy that slips in day 1 on the list that you'll see later on, so stick around for that. We got a super chat in the building.
Super chat.
Appreciate you, Swan. $5 super chat. He says, video game controller looks... Wait a minute. Oh, okay. See, so on Restream, let me show y'all what it says so y'all don't think I'm crazy. On Restream, if you just send a donation and it's an emoji, this is what comes up. This right here. It looks strange. So I'm reading that. I'm like, what? So my apologies, Swan. I appreciate you for the donation. My lady said, can I have your real number? Let me get into the roundup before I start cutting up again.
Look at them, Gucci, it's about that time.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time! It's time!
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
This is the morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. We're more than just a fitness club. We provide the tools, support, and resources you need to achieve your goals. So strive for progress, not perfection. Fitness goals are not accomplished with one workout. Progress towards those goals with Texas Family Fitness. They now have 13 different locations in the DFW area, so check those out and let them know that Skywalker and A to Z sent you. All right, let's get into the docket. Kelvin Joseph reported to the first day of off-season voluntary workouts. As we all know, we went over it yesterday and over the weekend. He's still in the middle of this investigation in regards to the murder that took place on March 18th down in Dallas. Also, the police say he still could face criminal charges for his connection to the March 18th homicide. So this is very much still at the infancy stages of the investigation. So, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope the best works out for Kelvin Joseph. I don't necessarily know what it means that he's there. Maybe it means Jerry and the boys believe him, and they're moving forward. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Keep our ears plugged to that and see what happens. Another thing, because it's only the draft is only a week out, right? If the Cowboys do address the cornerback position fairly early, I'd say that could be a hint into what could happen about Kelvin Joseph's future with the Dallas Cowboys. So he's there for now. Dalton Schultz spoke yesterday, and I was reading. I guess he called the media on the phone, and I was reading some of his quotes. not even just from yesterday, but just kind of how he's been speaking and moving in a way over the offseason. And to me, it kind of sounds like he's stepping into a leadership role, which is not a bad thing, by the way. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying it seems like he's a guy that understands that, you lost a guy like Cooper. You're not going to have Gallup. The offense was what it was last year. He's been productive the last 2 years. Maybe he wants to step into that leadership role. But he spoke about Cooper not being here, stating that there is no doubt the offense is better with Cooper, but now others will have to step up. And he also had an interesting quote about how the offense can grow. Let me read this off. Quote, "There's a lot of room for everybody on our offense to grow in terms of football IQ. Understanding not only what the call is and what your responsibility is, but why Kellen is trying to call the call and where the concepts fit in the game flow." Interesting. Understanding more than just what's on the surface level of these concepts and maybe the ultimate goal of what we're trying to accomplish by running or calling certain plays out of certain situations. There's definitely a lot of room to grow there. End quote. Y'all think Schultz has got offensive coordinator written all over him in his future? Because I'm going to be real with you. That sounded like an offensive coordinator quote. Now, I've never played the game at a high level at the NFL or college level. I've never done that. But how many players, receivers, I know the quarterback should be doing this, but how many players, receivers, running backs, whatever, are in the middle of a battle in a war and like, hey, man, we got to understand where, the concept of this call within the game flow, this and that and this, as opposed to what's the call, where do I got to be, and how do I beat my man, because I'm battling a guy across from me. So I just found that quote interesting because it's very nuanced, obviously. And I would love to ask him or somebody about what really goes on through their heads during this entire, during the game. When the play is called, you go out there, you're lining up across from a guy, right? Are you thinking about those 10 different things? It's a lot. Interesting quote. And I love that Craig said he did go to Stanford, because I was going to bring up, so he talked about these concepts, and I think it was Simi. Simi talked about the concepts as well. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to dig deep into the quote, you could say maybe this is part of the whole committee situation, right? The whole, we're not going to one guy, so I guess everybody has to know where to be in multiple spots. But I thought it was interesting. I'd love for him to expound a little bit more on that in regards to an individual thought process. Like, what are you thinking about when you go out there, Dalton? And a lot of people are getting on him about blocking. And D-Block said it sounded like Kellen Moore. Yeah, it did sound like Kellen Moore. Tripp says, translation, we're running an equal opportunity offense. Everyone gets the ball, maximum 5-6 targets a game. That I was wondering if Cowboys Nation came away from that quote thinking exactly what you said, Trips. He did talk about his contract. He said that he wanted to get this done. He feels like the Cowboys want to get it done. I don't think Dalton Schultz is really going to hold these boys hostage for a ridiculous amount of money. Hell, he may come in under. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but he may come in under the cap. When I say the cap, I mean the franchise tag number, because it sounds like he wants to be here and he understands tight end is a weird position right now in the league, and getting long-term big money is not being handed out to everyone. Toxic says, Skyler, the same Kellen Moore who has little to no pre-snap motion, doesn't feature playmakers, no adjustments, predictable, and played an injured Zeke over a TP. Then finally, yesterday, phase 1 of the workouts began. There are 3 different phases into this offseason program. Phase 1, the first 2 weeks permits only meeting strength and conditioning and physical rehab work with strength and conditioning coaches. But within that phase, though, that doesn't mean the players aren't allowed to, throw and do routes and things like that with Dak Prescott. Schultz did say that the receiving core, including tight ends, are ahead of where they were last year because Dak was still recovering from the ankle situation. So, that's one of the more underrated, I guess, advantages this year, really over the last 2 years, is that Dak is healthy. He's ready to go. He's not dealing with any contract talks. Clear mind. You're not dealing with any injured players besides Michael Gallup, which I guess he is an injured player. But Dak is ready to go, and he can connect with some of these guys. So that's a good thing. Phase 2 includes 3 weeks of on-field individual and group instruction and drills through live contact offense versus defense. Though live contact offense versus defense is not permitted. I still like that phase, and I hope they open that to the public. I doubt it, though. Phase 3, last 4 weeks include up to 10 days of non-live organized team activities, a.k.a. OTAs, featuring 7-on-7, 9-on-7, and 11-on-11 drills. And that is the Morning Roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. Mike Wade says, bring back the Jason Witten model tight end. I'm good. I mean, isn't that what they use? I mean, I guess you can say Jarwin was more athletic, but they seem to favor that type of tight end. They don't really care too much about the athlete at the tight end position. If you go look at the history of what they brought in, even Martellus Bennett, who I think is an underrated athlete, he wasn't this new breed of tight end. They like a bigger body. They like a dual threat guy. Hence Stanford. Schultz, McEwen. I wouldn't necessarily call Jarwin that, but Jarwin was undrafted. Escobar, he was more of a receiving guy too, but they weren't these uber athletes. I kind of want to go the other way. I would like to see an athlete in this offense at the position. He ain't got to be Pitts. But I would like to see an athlete at the tight end spot, even if it's tight end too. Oh, LaFleur, Army Mom is going way back to the 90s. Joe believes the first priority is fixing the O-line. The rest doesn't matter. Wait, what do you mean, Joe? Of course the rest matters. And we still need a number one receiver, says Craig. Yeah, we'll get to the receiver. We'll get to all. I think what I'm going to do the rest of this week and next is we'll break down individual position groups heading into this draft. Jose says, 1 week to Las Vegas. Let's go. I'm not going to be there, but if those who are, man, have fun, enjoy it, and be safe, right? It is Vegas. All right. So, like I said earlier, I wanted to circle back around to the linebacker position, because I feel like as we're moving forward, it's kind of getting thrown underneath again. And I'm like, no, let's bring this thing back. Because, I mean, if you go look at the room, I don't even think this is debatable. Long term, there's just not enough there. That's for sure, right? And if you're just like, hey, well, we can get by next year, possibly. Leighton Vander Esch, to me, I know how I feel about Leighton Vander Esch. I've got a guy in this draft that I think can come in right now supplant Leighton Vander Esch, and there may be a couple guys that can do that, but for a fact can come in here and supplant Leighton Vander Esch. A couple of them, obviously. And then Jabril Cox, who I am high on and I think will be fantastic with the Cowboys when he's healthy. It's just a matter of when will he be back and when will he be back right. A difference between, okay, he's cleared to go run, and then, okay, he's back in shape, he's back in understanding things, and he's ready to go. That could take a little bit longer too. So when you look at this group, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, if you had to play a football game right now, obviously that can't happen with Jabril, but even if you go into September in week 1, let me ask y'all, I ain't even going, how confident are you in this current group of the linebackers week 1? Very confident? Not confident at all? Or to be decided? How confident are you in this linebacking group? To me, I'm not that confident in it. week 1 because Jabril, I don't even know if he's going to be there or not. LVE gave me some confidence in the San Fran game, but that doesn't ignore what I thought was at best an okay season. And let's remember, he's been here for 4 years and he's really only had 1 good year. So, I think a lot of people looking at LVE, the LVE hive, and they're kind of riding the last few games of the season. But I'm looking at the total picture, and it's like, I fought for you, bro. I thought maybe when you was healthy you'd be better, but you were pretty meh last year to me. T-Max says meh. It's kind of how I feel about the group. And that has nothing to do with Micah, right? That's messed up. We got to include him in this group. But you need at least 3 to 4 backers in today's game. And versatile guys would help. But this is a position that's going to deal with injuries, a position that, gets rotated a lot. There's not a ton of Micah Parsons that is going to play 85, 90% of the snaps. Down in the box, dropping back, rushing the passer, defense. There ain't a bunch of those dudes. So I think they need to add a body at the least in the top 100. Jesse, not very confident. At least one guy short. We need a top 100 linebacker. Agree. Chuck P, C+. Tyrone, not very confident. Yeah, so a lot of y'all are kind of feeling about this spot. And I think rightfully so. So I agree with y'all. To be decided, says Roberto. We got a couple callers we'll get to, and then we'll get to number 5 on my list. I got a top 5, and 5's cheating, but we'll get to it. What's up, brother Mel?
Big Sky, what up, big bro?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Man, everything is good, bro. Yeah, man. I kind of wanted to talk on the Kelvin Joseph thing, but I know we're talking about backers.
I mean, sure. Did you call in yesterday?
I didn't, but I wanted to.
Yeah, you can go ahead and get your Kelvin Joseph take off. Yeah.
Let me get my Kelvin Joseph off. Man, I think I said this before, man. With some people, and it's unfortunate, man, and it's sad, but trouble just seems to find them. And for those people that trouble just seems to find, if you not one of those dudes that know how to turn away from it, it just seems to me like Kelvin is not running away from the trouble. It seems like, I remember last year, it was a game where he got thrown out, and it really wasn't, I don't want to say like his fault, but
yeah, that wasn't on
Kelvin. It wasn't on Kelvin, but trouble seems to find him.
But Mel, can't we differentiate on field stuff to off field? Because on field, I don't know that there was ever an issue in regards to trouble. It was always off the field, right? Where the questions kind of rose with Kelvin Joseph and his decision making and the lack of faith that some of his colleges had in him and scouts and the NFL. Like the Cowboys took him in a second, but a lot of teams didn't even have him on the board.
Yeah. I mean, on field, I don't really mind. I mean, I don't mind, a little bit of, I don't want to use the word dirty, but I don't mind a guy that plays with a edge, but it just seems like with Kelvin, man, he just one of those dudes that I honestly, man, I just don't trust him, bro. Like I just don't. Just me personally, like I just don't trust him. I don't know if the Cowboys are gonna release him or what they're gonna decide to do. But to me, I'm like, bro, if that was your car that the shots were shot out of, which they say it was, that means that you circle back around to go the direction of where them dudes was, because I'm guessing you was driving.
Well, I'm not going to pretend.
So if you was,
wait, because there are some legal facts out there. According to, I shouldn't say facts, but statements. According to his lawyer, he was a passenger.
Okay, for sure. All right, so. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what can, but that's I'll
go back to tell you. I'll tell you what some scouts were saying. If you go look at some of the quotes, and it was quote, it's always something. And that might come off as, who cares, right? But if it's always something in two different, I almost say organizations, two different colleges, and always something in his personal life, there's probably going to be something in the NFL. Now, I didn't think this, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought maybe, he might not really care about football too much and wants to rap more. And that's whatever. I don't care about that. As long as you good on that field, right? Football don't got to be your life.
I think Kelvin loved football. I never got the feeling that he didn't like football.
See, I don't know.
Kelvin loved football.
I don't know.
I just think that he liked rapping. But I just feel like Kelvin is I don't want to assume that he's a street dude like that, but definitely the dudes around him seem to be that way. And, Kelvin has said it himself that he come from, that type of background. It don't necessarily mean that he is that way, but it definitely seems to be with Kelvin, man. It is always going to be something, because we've seen that over even this, within this 1 year. And it's just like, all right, well, do the Cowboys want to continue on with him and see how far this goes? Or, do they want to cut bait right now? I'm going to be honest, if I was running the team, as I say, if I was running the team, I probably would, man, just, I'm like, hey, man, we gave it a shot. This probably isn't the last of things. I would think getting kicked off of 2 teams in college would be a wake-up call. Because a lot of people are saying, like, man, maybe this is a wake-up call for Kelvin. I would think that getting kicked off 2 teams in college would be a wake-up call. But
well, this could be a wake-up call in life, not just sports. You know what I'm saying? We've all hit one of those spots where we've been humbled. You know what I mean? And according to, his peoples, he wasn't a shooter. He was a passenger. He shouldn't have put himself in that situation. But if he gets out of this, hopefully this is the type of thing now where he could turn his life around outside of football, because obviously he was going down the wrong path.
Yeah, big time. But I do pray for the brother that he get his life right, man, even outside of football. Outside of football. That's the most
important part.
I pray for the brother that he get his life right. Back to football, back to the draft in the day 2, real quick. I feel like this is a very, very important pick on that second round, because as you spoke about yesterday, the Cowboys draft so well, but we looking at these second round picks. I saw 1 home run with Diggs. I'm gonna call Diggs a home run. I'll call Sean Lee the right pick because of his performance when he was able to play. But other than that, man, to me it just seems like they take a lot of gambles on day 2. Like, even Kelvin was a gamble.
I mean, Jalen take a lot of gambles, and the gambles that they don't take, they're just not hitting long term. Like I'm looking at the list right now. If we're being honest with ourselves, Tristan Hill's not getting a long term contract, so you can
that was
scratch
a gamble.
him off that. We don't know what's going on with Kelvin just quite yet, but we see what just happened here. But when you really only have DeMarcus Lawrence, Sean Lee, and Jalen Smith to date as the only guys that receive long-term deals in the second round, I don't consider that a success. Because let's not get it twisted. Round 2 was only 1 round behind the first. so if you told me in 13 drafts you were only able to get 3 long-term deals done with your first-round picks, you would say that's horrible. That's a horrible hit rate.
Scott, can I ask you this question? Is the we draft well, is it more narrative than actual fact?
No, the Cowboys draft well. I don't want to do that. They draft well, but like I've been saying for a long time now, because they rely on the draft, whether you want to call this fair or not, they have to draft better because they're not filling those gaps with free agents. when I say filling in gaps, I shouldn't say that because they technically are just filling gaps. But they're not adding in above average to top tier talent in free agency, every year or so. They're just plugging holes or putting masking tape and Band-Aids over things and then getting to the draft. So if that's going to be the way you do things, then your first 2 rounds especially, they need to be here long term. And then as we talked about yesterday, I looked at the round 2 and I was like, wait a minute. That round 2 is not as great as what we think.
Didn't look very good at all from what you put up there.
And the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some people will say, oh, well, wait a minute. Let me pull it back up. We got 4 years out of Connor Williams. We got 4 years out of Cheeto. We got a good year and a half out of Jalen, y'all. Gregory gave us, some people will look at Bruce Carter got us 4 years. So if you look at it that way, you be like, man, that's great.
You just looking at time served?
That's what they're looking at. Yeah, time served. I'm looking at it from a long-term standpoint, and from a long-term standpoint, they got to do better here.
Yeah, man. I think out of your first 2 rounds, if you don't have more, and I'm going to use the word cornerstone, if you don't have more cornerstone players coming out of those first 3. Those first 3 picks, that's really the bulk of where your talent comes from, especially this team, because you don't participate at all in the offseason. You don't participate in free agency.
Right.
So if you're not going to participate in free agency, the bulk of your talent has to come from those first 3 rounds. So if you're not hitting, really almost, like you say, they got to draft better. So you got to almost hit on those first 3. They do draft well. I'm gonna say the 4th round they seem to do well in, and the 6th round guys. But for some reason them 3rds and them 5ths and them 2nds, I don't know what's going on there, man. But
the 5th is.
I'm gonna get off here, bro.
Good, yeah. I appreciate you, big bro.
I know we got other callers wanting to get in, man. But thank you for letting me talk about Kelvin, man, and getting that off. And hopefully it goes well for the brother, man.
I agree. Appreciate you, Mel. Yeah, yesterday, and just like on Vox show, we were joking about it. Like, we're going to talk about it yesterday, and that's that, because it's still fluent, right? Like, there's still a lot going on that we don't know. But obviously, people have their opinions on the situation, so we gave it to you. In regards to that 5th round, 5th round picks, super wild card. Like, the draft in general is throwing darts at the board and hoping something lands. But the 5th round, I'm not expecting them to be great at it, but if you go look at the history, it's been pretty bad. I don't remember the 3rd round as much over the last 10 years, but that could be a project we look at. I remember Professor O brought that up yesterday about go look at the 3rd round. I didn't look at it, but they just got to be better, man. I don't even think that's like, oh, you're pessimistic or anything like that, because a lot of people now all of a sudden think I hate the Cowboys. But I'm just understanding how they approach this offseason. And in the way they do it, the end result means they need to be better in the draft. Devin said Chaz Green was a 3rd rounder. All right, let's get to my number 5. Hate to even call this a backer. Y'all gonna boo me, throw food at me, all that good stuff, because I'm cheating on this one, y'all. It's really like 4 plus a 4 and a possible. It ain't really a possible. But let me get to my 5th one. Let me pull them up. All right, here we go. Nick Benito. Boo, Sky. He ain't no linebacker, Sky. What are you doing? He's not. He's not really a linebacker. But he's not really a defensive end either. Right? He's kind of that tweener type of guy. And I just love the upside of him as a pass rush. Now, again, like I said, this one's a little bit cheating because he's looked at as a pass rusher and for good measure. He led the nation last year in pass rush win rate and was just crushing one-on-one tackles. I call him twitched up. He's just super twitchy and athletic, and he reminds me, don't y'all boo me again, he reminds me of Micah in how he can evade defenders with finesse on any given play. Now, I don't mean he's Micah Parsons. And I know they were number 11, so that's going to sound really weird. You're like, nah, you compared him to Micah. No, I'm not comparing him to Micah. But he has that versatility to his game as a rusher in that he can beat you with his quickness up the field, or he can just straight up twitch you up and get you in circles and you can't touch him. The Houdini effect is what Micah did a few times last year. So with how hybrid Dan Quinn likes to play his guys, I think a weapon like Nick Benito could play in a Leo type of role. Okay, I think that'd be a fun role for him. You know, you really don't want him banging with linemen down in, down out. So you could stand him up if they go in an uneven front, or you could just, like I said, he could be a Leo if they do go in an even front and he can stand up. Or depending on if you do like the one-on-one with said tackle, you could put him down, put his hand in the dirt, let him go after it. So this one is kind of put an asterisk on it. He's not really a linebacker, but he's not a defensive end. He's a twitched up, athletic pass rusher that did play some off-ball stuff, right? He dropped in coverage sometime, played some spy technique. I don't think he's your traditional guy you would line up next to Micah, but you can do some fun things with the Nick Benito and Micah Parsons. I mean, talking about 6'3", 248, ran a 4.5, and he plays fast and twitchy. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up all the food y'all just threw at me. I'll get into the chat and see how y'all feel about him. Audrell, I was going to put Brandon Smith isn't on this list, but Brandon is kind of in that similar mode where he's really a poor man's Micah, but man, he's so damn athletic, Brandon Smith. So damn athletic. Let me see what y'all say. How y'all feel about Nick Benito? Jose don't like these guys at all. He said the only defensive guy he drafted in the first 3 rounds is Devin Lloyd. What are we doing? Benito is a really good third down rusher. Designated, yeah, he could be a DPR type guy. He could be a DPR type guy. But I'm kind of looking at him with biased eyes because we got Dan Quinn, and I'm wondering if Dan Quinn and the linebackers coach, I forget here, could maybe coach him up a little bit to learn some of that linebacking stuff. I think he has it in him. Professor O. Professor O, I'm going to need you in a few picks here about one of your guys, which you already know who's on there. Third has been a better third. I'm guessing you're saying third round. Has been a better list compared to. Oh, you're talking about the rounds. Second rounds, but only a few big hits. Okay. King Dallas calls him half and half. Dro says, are we looking at Mike linebackers? So it's a combination. You're going to get some middle. You're going to get some off ball, some outside linebackers here, which obviously Nick Benito would be an outside linebacker in a 3-4 look. But the reason why I included him is because of how hybrid Dan Quinn had been last year in Dallas. So I think that if he comes back with that same mindset, you can do some cool things with Nick Benito and Micah Parsons. And T-Mac's talking about Dean over Lloyd. Yeah, so Dean and Lloyd, to me, are your day one guys. These guys I'm going to talk about are going to be more day two, and you might get one of those guys sneaking day one. Let's get to 551 and see what he got to think about Nick Benito. What's up, 551?
What's up, Skywalker? This is the guru, Danny Savage.
Danny freaking Hey, it's really good to hear your voice, man. I always see you up in here. I read your comments. I appreciate your support, but it's really, really good to hear your voice, Danny Savage. So I'm going to go ahead and save your number, bro.
Today I figured I'd give it a call.
I appreciate it. The guru. You always got to put that in there. It's the guru, Danny Savage.
This is why I say I'm the guru.
What's up,
Don't judge me on my day one, my day two picks.
Okay.
Judge me on my day three picks.
All right.
Because that's where you build the core of your team. The reason why we're horrible in the second round, when the general manager has no fear of getting fired, let's roll the dice on all these question marks. And that's what he does.
You're absolutely
There's all these
right.
question marks with our second round picks. He ain't going anywhere, the GM. Anybody else in that, maybe if Will McClay had that job, he might not be taking some of those guys. You know, they're talking about the kid Ajabo with the Achilles. No, thank you. Achilles and the plain edge That don't go along together. Plus, he's looking to be out a year, at least a year. To me, that's more of a 2-year injury.
Yeah, he tore it. In last month, right?
Yeah, he tore it at his pro day. Not even at the combine. He performed well at the combine. Listen, I wasn't a big fan of him anyway. He was a 1-year wonder at Michigan. To me, he was the same as Kwity Paye. I'm scared of Michigan defensive ends after Taco Charlton. I'm scared of those guys. So I don't want to go anywhere near Michigan. They scare me. As for Kelvin Joseph, I really don't want to. You know what it is? There's 10 stories. My story, your story, everyone else's story. We don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
So let's comment on that when everything comes out.
Sure.
I mean, listen, I come from nothing. I come from the streets. If I was handed millions of dollars at 21, what do you expect sometimes? When you're handed millions. And unfortunately, you could be the best person in the world, and the guy sitting next to you is going to get you in all the trouble.
Yeah,
so that's
it is a sticky situation, man. He's young, so he's not 32 years old. He's 31 years old. He's 21 years old. And
young kid.
Young kid, and it's clear, right? It's clear as day that he didn't have the right people around him. But again, I'm gonna keep saying this because he's young and it looks like he's gonna be okay. I hope this is the turning point in his life, and he understands moving forward that the people you have around you matter. When you're getting older and you're moving on towards life, you can't have those type of people around you no more. So if you got to leave them behind, it is what it is.
I know. I hear you. Then unfortunately, they call you a sellout. If you were with these kids since you were 12, but it's a sticky situation. But let's talk linebackers.
All right. Give me linebackers, and I'm gonna get to the next caller, Danny.
All right. I'm a big Devin Lloyd fan. I think he's a playmaker. Let's go later. Let's go a little bit later on. Day 3 guys.
Okay.
Micah McFadden, Indiana. All you do is watch the tape. The kid makes every tackle there is. Another day 3 guy, Mike Rose, Defensive Player of the Year for Iowa State. Has the size, 6'4", 250. Does nothing but make every single tackle. Now we're going to give you a guy who probably not even get drafted. Fadil Kasi, his name is, linebacker from Rutgers. His brother is a defensive lineman for the Jets. He's a kid, 6'2", 6'3", 250. Played on a bad team, but made every tackle. Those are my linebackers, and also DeMarco Jackson. Yeah, probably a day 2 kid from Appalachian State. He had a good combine.
Yeah, my guy B, I think it was B. He put me on DeMarco Jackson's. I went and checked him out. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, App State isn't that small school no more. Okay, there was a school full of all Power 5 transfers. Kids that went to other schools that didn't work out, and then they all go there. That ain't no cakewalk no more, that school. But listen, it was a great first-time call. You'll hear me again. Like I said, the guru was given to me in my fantasy football leagues by my friends. That's why I just throw it out there.
That's good to hear from you.
I listen to you every morning. I'm sure I'll call again. Thank you so much for the content.
Thanks, Danny. Really good to hear from you, brother. Good call. Toxic Tom Downey. I knew I heard this before, and I love it. You said you're gonna call yourself the guru. Where'd it go? Instead of Wolf of Wall Street, the Wolf of the Draft, because you definitely sound like Jordan Belfort. You said don't judge. What'd you say? Don't judge me on my first and second round picks. Judge me on the third. And I'm like, where the hell did I hear something like that before? And it was on the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm looking for the quote. But I never asked to be judged on my winners. I asked them to judge me on my losers because I have so few. God, that's such a good movie. Such a good movie. Danny, we might have to call you the Wolf of the Draft. Definitely got the mob sound in you. And, I am Italian. My background is Italian. And as soon as he got on that phone, I was like, oh. Let me get the 302 real quick, then we'll get the number 4. 302, what it is, what it do.
What's up, Sky?
What's going on? Who this?
This is Kareem from Delaware. Long time Dallas Cowboys fan.
What's up, Reem? Can I call you Reem?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just want 2 minutes real quick, Sky. Two minutes.
What's up?
Let's just be honest, man. We can't depend on the draft to win a Super Bowl. And that's what they've been doing the last couple of years. If you go back to the 90s teams, they developed their players. They picked up the key pieces they needed in free agency, and we was a dynasty. Why we just can't do that all over again? Pick up some key free agents and develop some talent, and let's make it.
Now, I agree with you because that's been my whole premise for the last, I don't know how many years. But we don't even have to go back that far. Like Kareem, we don't got to go back all the way to the 90s to see that free agency helps you. We can look at present day NFL, and it shows and proves that free agency can help you not just win the Super Bowl, but be a consistent winner in the sense of constantly getting to the playoffs, winning playoff games, et cetera, because it's harder to sustain success than it is to have it one time and then that's it. I think it's harder to sustain it.
Right. And I'm going to end off with this. I'm going to let a couple of those people call in. I'm going to just say this. We have a nice core. But if Jerry Jones don't let his son take the leash off his neck and spend some money, we're not going to go nowhere. We're just going to live off of what we used to be, and people going to keep heckling us saying you haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 years.
Listen, you not getting no – I'm not fighting you on none of that. Yes. All of that, yes. I agree, man.
Thanks, Scott. I love your show, man. I've been tuning in every day since I've been off work. I'm a school teacher, so we on spring break this week. I'm going to continue to tune in.
Thank you, brother.
Like and subscribe. Try to shoot you some donations, brother. I love the show. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, brother. Hey, listen, even when you go back to school, you're on lunch break, man, go ahead download the podcast on Apple or Spotify. I'm not sure which kind of phone you got, but you can listen that way too, man.
All right, got you.
All right, brother. Yeah, I ain't got no arguments with that. None at all. Special K said easy answer, Sky. Catboy. Y'all know how I feel. Don't get me started. All right, let's get to number 4 on my list. And the reason why I say that, Special K, is because people come on here and they jump in at the wrong time and they think, who's this dude? He hates the Cowboys. He never talks. All right. You ain't been around. Number 4. Not my favorite backer of the bunch, but if we're talking off-ball guys, if we're talking talent, I mean, I do think the guy is talented, but I like others more. We're talking about Leo Chanel out of Wisconsin. It's Wisconsin, y'all, but for those that know what I'm talking about when I say Wisconsin, drop it in the chat. He tested great. Honestly, his test to me was a bit surprising. He's a rocked up throwback thumper of a linebacker, 6'2", 250 pounds. Had a breakout season last year, 100 tackles, 8 sacks, 18 tackles for loss. And I'm going to be honest with you, when you look at the measurements, you think not a Dan Quinn model, right? Now, they did just re-sign LVE. But maybe his testing kind of makes him an exception. I mean, you could put on a tape and there's some athleticism there, but there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot that you say, oh, well, he's twitchy. He's great in coverage type things like that. No, I don't believe any of that. But he is a throwback, rocked up thumper that plays very well against the run, very strong against the run, comes downhill. And if we're talking about wanting a run-stopping guy, I think this is your guy. But he also is a tank as a blitzer. No pun intended, because we have a tank. But he's a guy that's going to go through you. Look, we talked about Nick Benito, the guy below him, as a pass rusher, being finesse and Houdini. That ain't Leo. Leo going to run through you. Okay? Do I think he's as much of a great fit next to Micah? I don't think I do. But I can't deny that he's got game that you can work with. I just struggle to really see if he's a guy I trust next to Micah, meaning can I put him in the middle? I don't know that he can diagnose the run decently. That's for sure. But I don't know if I would put him up there as he has extremely high football IQ and he can just free up Micah Parsons. I don't know about all that just yet. He might be best next to Micah as a guy that's just free himself. Just run, hit, talk shit, see ball, get ball. But if you're looking to kind of help your run defense, I think Leo Chanel can do that for you. But I'll be honest, not my favorite guy on this list. But of the day two guys, I can't deny his production and the upside that he does have. I like Leo Chanel. Yeah, JoJo's the other guy. Leo's a big mofo, says C. A riser, second or third. Yeah, he's going to be a day two for sure. Devin said, hell, 10 years ago, he'd be a top 15 pick. Roberto calls him a thumper. Yeah, that's exactly how we'll look at him. He's a thumper. Devin believes he's too big for the Quinn defense. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that Dan Quinn model is not, that's really not him, right? But maybe for another team. And here's the thing. If he develops the mental part of his game more at the middle linebacker spot, then he'd be able to free Mike up a little bit more. But I don't know if he's ready to do that right this moment. Why do I have him ahead of Benito? So I don't know, Oscar, you were here earlier. Benito's cheating. I'm cheating with Nick Benito. Y'all really want to know? Y'all want to know? I'll tell you. I'll be honest with y'all. I had Nick Benito at number 2. He was number 2. I am very high on Nick Benito. Very high on him. But I told myself, wait. This isn't your typical linebacker. And that's not right? Because he's really a pass rusher type of guy. So let me be fair to the process. But I had him as my number 2 guy on this list. But when you see the rest of the guys, these are pure backers, right? These are guys that I think could fit in either in the middle or as a will type of backer. Whereas Nick, dude, he a wild card. He one of those dudes. I don't give a damn. Figure it out. Find a way to put him on the field and make it work. I had to be honest with y'all. He was number 2, but I was like, y'all gonna hate me if I put him at number 2. And I ain't feel right putting him up there. I already feel like I'm cheating putting him at 5, but putting him at 2, I really would have been doing a disservice to the actual backers on this list. So there's my explanation, man. DeMarco Jackson, a couple people are bringing him up, and like I said, I did look him up. Do we think though he's going day 2? I mean, it could go the 3rd round. Kind of seeing more day 3 though. I was about to get to you. Yeah, here you go. Let me get to the lunatic before we get to number 3. What's up, the lunatic?
Good morning, Sky, Cowboys Nation. Buenos dias, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Their families and loved ones are doing well.
Thank you, brother.
A couple of things. Yeah, first thing, Danny Savage, I'm sorry. I hope you don't make me, sleep with the fishes for using your name, but he is right. He is absolutely right. When the GM has no fear of getting fired, then, hey, go ahead, roll it. Nothing's going to happen to me. It's just like if I had no fear of my wife, I would do a lot of things, but I'm afraid that she's going to bury me in different parts of the city if I do something.
Going to be under there with Hoffa.
That's right. That fear of getting fired. Hell, Gettleman rolled with Danny Jones, and he might be on his way out along with him. That's what we need, that GM that says, hey, let's not take so much of a risk. Let's go with these players instead. And talking about that, we love Micah. But you've got to look into the weeds of the story. Remember, last year we had a need. Everybody's saying, we need cornerback, we need cornerback. After the draft, even Jerry said, we had Micah drafted higher than those 2 cornerbacks. But we had a need, thanks to Stephen Boyd Jones, for cornerback. And thank you, Carolina, thank you, Denver. They took those 2 cornerbacks. So we were left, well, let's draft back. We got Micah. Looking like it's a beginning of a great story. But if one of them would have been there, we would have drafted that cornerback because we didn't address the need in one of the aspects of the game, which is free agency. Again, we're talking about linebacker. You can make the argument for we need wide receiver. We need O-line help. Too many gaps because Steven does not use that third aspect, which is free agency. So that way he can have, as I've said to you, he even uses an honest draft, a true draft. Just let it play how it goes, and let's go with that where we don't have to draft a need. It seems like the first 2 rounds, we're going to have to draft a clear and evident need. And I see 3 positions: O-line, wide receiver, linebacker. Something is not going to get addressed.
No, I mean, that's something we've been talking about all offseason, is that you're backing yourself into a corner. And you really you didn't have to do that.
And you can thank God for Will McClay and the scouting department. Again, the Cowboys have one of the top scouting departments. But you can't rely that every year saying, oh, we're going to hit a home run in the draft. We're going to do this in the draft. It's a supplement to all the other aspects. You can't just rely on it because eventually you're going to have a dud, and we cannot afford that right now. Now, touching base with the Kelvin Joseph situation, though, if I were judged by the things that I did as a young man, it would not be good for me.
Sure.
Somebody once told me, look, I don't judge you when you fall down. I judge you by what you do once you get up, if you get up at all. Life is about learning. Hopefully he uses this as a learning experience for most of all, as you said, the most important part of it is off the field life. Football is only going to be a couple of years. His life off the field is going to be what's important. You make changes. You live every day. You have to make decisions that'll affect you and those around you. Hopefully he grows, and if he can use professional sports as an avenue to grow, better for him, better for those around him. But again, I'm just going to sit and wait, and let's watch. Let's see if he can grow into a better person, because we are different today than we were a week, a month, 5 years ago. Can we be a better person? That's what I'm expecting from Kelvin Joseph. And I know the Cowboys have a program to give him that help if he requires it. So.
He requires it.
What?
There's no doubt about that anymore.
Exactly. I mean, we did it for Des Bryant. Cowboys hired somebody 24/7 to be right with him.
It's just
a
matter. It's just a matter of, does Dallas value him in the same manner as Randy Gregory and Des Bryant, 2 guys that they assisted, tremendously throughout their career here to keep them on a straight path. If they don't look at Kelvin that way, then he probably won't be here. But if they do, then they need to put the full support around him to get his life straight, not just for football, right, but for his life in general.
And that's another big difference between how players see Steven and Jerry. Jerry is like your granddad. He wants the best for you. And if you play better for the Cowboys, even better. But he seems to get that impression from the players that he cares about your life. Whereas Steven is, that's a numbers guy. He will cut you like another difference that the players can see. So hopefully Jerry can step in and say, look, let's give him a shot. Let's see what happens from here. But draft is a couple of days. I wanted to see more action. I know we're going to get more action after the draft, but don't go into the draft with one of your hands tied behind your back. Go in there and saying, let's see what happens. We really don't see any obvious need. Let's just get those great athletes that can help our roster. And as D-Law says, we need it.
No.
We've 26 years. Yeah, they haven't been all for those years, but we need it. We need to get that focus back on number 6. But thank you, Sky, for letting me call in. Cowboys Nation, you have a great one. Keep it locked in here with Sky. And don't forget, Big Mo, El Mauro, at night.
Yeah.
Get that Cowboys coverage with everything that happened during the day. A to C Sports. Thank you, Sky, Cowboys Nation. Bendiciones. And always, puro pinche Cowboys.
Puro pinche Cowboys. Appreciate you, as always, the lunatic. Yeah. I don't foresee the Cowboys making any more. I mean, I could be wrong. We got a week and a half. They did sign Ryan all last week, but that was a very low end signing. But they are now gearing up for the draft, right? They're putting their boards, they're getting them in place. Will McClay and those boys. I think their full attention is on this draft, because if they were looking to sign more players, there are players out there. players out there that you can take to kind of help you get through, or trades you can make to kind of help you get to draft day without having to back yourself into a corner. But I think they're all in on the draft, and they're going to say, all right, let's see what happens after the draft, and then maybe a Quan Alexander if we don't get a linebacker, or a Chenault if we don't take a receiver, or et cetera, et cetera. I think that's the way they will go. I missed a couple super chats. Let me get to that real quick before I get to my number 3. I'm interested to know about this one for y'all too, number 3, because we haven't talked about him a lot on this show. I've seen him brought up elsewhere. Okay, Dro the Gooner, appreciate you, brother.
Super chat.
With the $10 donation. My day 3 linebacker is Malcolm Rodriguez from Oklahoma State. He didn't blow the combine away, but watch his film. He's a culture guy. He'll bring that Sean Lee type of leadership to our defense. Don't you worry, man. Appreciate the donation. I got a Sean Lee guy for you. You just hold tight. I got a Sean Lee guy for you. Before I get to the Sean Lee guy, let's talk about this week's ride of the week, which is the Freeman Hyundai Elantra. The 2022 Elantra stands out in traffic due to its unique styling, but underneath the sharply creased sheet metal is a spacious and practical compact car. Its cabin is decked out with a similarly futuristic design, and several high-end features are offered, especially on the high-end trims that help with the wow factor. Some of those features: backup camera, lane keeping assistance, the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and it has amazing miles per gallon in city and highway. And the base model starts under $22,000. If you want more information, check out freemanhyundai.net or visit Freeman Hyundai in Irving, Texas.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
We about 200 something deep up in here. Appreciate y'all this morning. Make sure I hit that like button. Got my guy in the building, Foots the King. Look out. Hopefully, I'm gonna talk to Foots, but we're going to try to do something here. Draft weekend, or maybe even next week. I want to talk more draft with you, Foots. I want to talk more draft with you. But I always tell people. For instance, B. Bird said, man, I come to you for draft. I said, I appreciate that, but don't forget about Foots and Vach and JC and all these other guys. I'm an amateur compared to them. I go to those guys that put me in the right direction. So check out Foots the King, Cowboys Nation TV, brother. All right, number 3. I'm curious. I want to know how y'all feel about this linebacker, because we haven't talked about him a whole lot here, and I got Foots in the building. I would love to get his thoughts on this linebacker. That is one Christian Harris out of Alabama University. A guy that, again, just when it comes to the names being thrown around over the last few weeks and months, he just seems to be flying under the radar. I have in my notes on Christian Harris, not a guy that's going to wow you with one specific thing, right? But he's athletic and does a multitude of things and has a high football IQ per Nick Saban, by the way. That ain't me just saying that, but Nick said that. You know, he played defensive back in high school, so I'd imagine that has helped his coverage skills. But he's been a dependable guy for Nick Saban. He hasn't missed a single game in the last 3 seasons at Alabama. Fits the mold of Dan Quinn, 6'1", sub 230, runs a 4.4 40, so he has those athletic traits. He fits that standard Dan Quinn model. What I noticed now for me, you know, because these are things mixed in between what I've seen and what others are saying. I think he does look for the smoke in the run game. Now, does that mean he does it at the highest level in regards to diagnosing? Probably not. The word out is he needs to diagnose a little bit better on a more consistent basis. But when you have a guy like Micah Parsons, I think it's important to get a guy around him that can either do one or two things. A, be dynamic in a certain thing. That's a Nick Benito type of situation, right? Or B, have the ability to be multiple, dropping back, coming downhill, blitzing, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Christian Harris is the latter. I think he's not going to be dynamic at one thing, but he's a very well-rounded backer. And kind of what you want around Micah, right? Kind of what you want. So I actually have him above Leo Chanel. A lot of people, again, we talked about it before, are high on him. But I think Christian Harris is a better all-around quintessential linebacker than Chanel. How y'all feeling about Christian Harris? Okay, so my guy Foot says he's number 2. All right. Well, if my guy Foot says he's number 2, then be on to something here. Be on to something. Bama backers disappointing in the NFL. Don't grade the helmet. But you're right, though. Very weird situation with the Bama backers. Professor O said he's revoking the guru. Tyrone Church, I like him in the second, but he's falling for some reason. I wonder if it's because he's just, like I said, he's not wowing you in one specific thing. Right? Most of these guys, they do something that people can hold their hat on and say, man, he's great at this, or they, he wows me at this. I just think he's a good football player. I do. Foot said he destroyed the combine, which is probably why initially he went up and then maybe it tailored off. I'm not sure. Oscar, there he is. Christian Harris from Bama. He plays better going forward instead of going backwards, but I think he can go backwards too, Oscar. I do. C says, I love Harris. He has a high motor. Harris, great pick. 4-4 built differently. Sneaky good. Okay, so it seems you guys are, or I wasn't sure because we hadn't talked about him in depth. I wasn't sure how y'all felt on A to Z here. But I think Christian Harris would be a fine get. And I think he would help Micah as well. Maybe not as much as my number 1 guy, but I think he will help him because he can do so many different things. You don't got to worry about when you send Micah Parsons on a blitz or if you bring him down as a pass rusher to play defensive end. I did worry about that last year. Keanu Neal didn't do it well. LVE was very sometimesy. And a lot of those sometimes it wasn't that great. I need a guy that I feel confident in when Micah's not playing at that middle linebacker spot. Montgomery wants to know, do I like Clark? He is complete. If I had a board, by the way, I'm not. Oh, here's my top 100. I don't have that. But if I had a board, he's completely off because of the spine thing. Like I can't. We just talked about this. We just talked about this list. I'm about done with these. I don't want to call it a hurt guy because it's not like he's a hurt guy, but spine. I'm staying away from that. I can get me a backer, and that's not even talking about how he plays. I'm just talking about his medical condition. All right, let's do number 2. Professor O. I'm going to need you on this one, Professor O. Because this one could be a bit controversial in that maybe he's not a day 2 guy. There's a sector out there that believes he's going to go day 1. I'm still putting him in the day 2 range. We've even done mock drafts where this player has went day 1. And I'm talking only the 30 to 32 range. But that is linebacker Quay Walker. Man, you talk about a ceiling, right? Foch often talks about, are you floor guy or are you ceiling guy? You want to talk about a ceiling. When you're 6'4", 240, run a 4.52, and you move the way he moves, that's different, okay? If I had to compare Walker's body type to someone, it'd be a former Dan Quinn drafted linebacker, Devondre Campbell. Another 6'4" guy. Now, Devondre won 6'4", 230. This boy goes 6'4", 240, and he moved. I think you could argue that Quay Walker, and I say argue because I'm my number 1 guy, is the best run-stopping linebacker on day 2, if he makes it there. And when you combine how athletic he is for his size and how fluid he is, right? He's still not nuanced. He's not a guy I want in coverage all the time. But we're talking about run stopping. we're talking about athleticism, movement, I think he's got it. Size, the sky's really the limit. So when you look at Quay Walker, I don't think you should look at him as a finished product. I think you're looking at him and you're drafting him on a lot of potential. Am I right about that, Professor O? Is this one of those guys where you look at him, obviously over his career in Georgia, it hasn't been like, oh, 100 tackle guy. No. But progressively getting better. And the ceiling, the sky is the limit per se. T-Mac says, man, I love me some Quay Walker. Tyrone believes he's going day one because he can play DE. But do I want to play him at defensive end? Special K says he would take Walker, but he might go early. And here's another reason why I'm going to say this a lot, and I'll say it again in the next one. I think he does help you out with Mike. I think you can plug him in as a thumper in the middle with an athletic upside, unlike an LVE. No offense. LVE at 6'4", 260 has some athleticism. Let's not get that twisted when he first came in, right? But think that on another level with Quay Walker. And now we're seeing Quay Walker might go first. Yeah, and that's why I said this one is a bit tricky because there's potential Quay goes in round one. Dave Thompson, did Georgia's D-line make Quay better? I'd argue they made everybody better, right? I'd argue they make everybody better. Professor O, he's a great athlete. Everyone mentions that, but he's an elite tackler. Boom, missed 7 tackles over 1,000 snaps. That is very true, and that's why I say, Professor O, he may be the best run-stopping guy in this draft. Now, it's between him and my other guy. I think they both, and you can look this up, fell under 10% of missed tackle percentage throughout their careers in college. That's really damn good. It's really damn good. B702 says, and I heard this before, but I haven't seen it brought up again. Benito, we 100% agree. That's an edge guy. But he says that the Cowboys like Walker as an edge. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would love if somebody can point me in a direction where McClay might have said that, or Broadus usually is on 105.3 saying those things. So maybe it was Broadus that said it. Who else could we, I don't trust Stephen Jones, Jerry. They don't really talk that stuff. But if you could point me in a direction to where the Cowboys have come out and stated that, we don't look at Quay as a linebacker, that'd be a bit disappointing. And we just look at him as an edge. Then cool. But I would think that'd be a mistake. I don't. Let me ask if my guys in the building, Foots and Professor O, is this a guy that is edge full time? I like his potential. I don't want to say hybrid because Mike could turn that thing upside down. Oh, well, he can play linebacker, play. I like his potential to be a backer, man. Jacob says he thought he heard Fish say it. Okay, so I figured. So Danny said Broadus talked about it. That's what I figured. So Broadus usually has a track, the inside track. That's interesting. Special K, that's what I like about his game. If he could process the game the same way as Dean, he would be for sure top 15 pick. Appreciate you, Jay Lombardi, for the donation.
Super chat.
Salute Sky and Voch. Make sure to watch the volume. Indeed, I'll be on there later, about 3 o'clock. Voch Lombardi Show. The biggest concern for Quay is he doesn't have a great feel for it. He has to see it and make plays and plays on athleticism. I think I might have had that. Yeah, in my notes. If he keeps improving the mental aspect of his game, I think he could fit right in next to any of the spots. That's kind of where the order of the cons on him. It's the mental processing part of the game for Quay Walker. But the upside, you could argue the upside's higher than any of these dudes. It's just all about the mental part of the game. All right, before I get to my number one, remember you can call in, but before you do that, let's talk about worth the poor. One thing we can all agree on is watching the Cowboys can be stressful. Take the edge off of game day. Take the edge off of the offseason. Take the edge off of the draft. And stop by Worth the Poor Wine and Spirits in the colony of Texas. By the way, if y'all do get something from Worth the Poor during draft day, hit me up. Let me know. That'd be kind of cool to shout them out. Download the app. They have the app. If you're in Denton County, and you don't want to stop by there, they can deliver for you. But if you aren't in Denton County and you want it delivered anyway, download the app, see if they can get it out to you. Give them a call, see if they can get it out to you. But use the discount code regardless, A to Z Sports, whether you're in the store, whether you call, whether you download the app, whatever. Use the discount code A to Z Sports. You get 5% off. As my screen goes off back there, you get 5% off of any order, $20 or more. Here we go. All right, let's get to my number one day 2 linebacker, and it's very easy. That is one Chad Muma. And I'm going to drop a clue bomb. Yeah, Chad Muma. Call me biased. Call me what you want, because I've been talking him up. And this is a shout out to Foots. He put me on him before. I wasn't all the way into the draft process just yet when he came on a few months ago, and he brought him up. One took a look at him. Did more research. I'm like, wait, why isn't this competition? Okay, so let's see what he does at the Senior Bowl when he's going up against better competition. All he did was lead the team in tackles. All he did was fly around and look like he fit right in. 6'2", 240, and don't get it twisted. You hear 4'6", you might think, oh, he's not fast. He's not. No. He's athletic. And this could be a hot take, having him up here, but here's an even more hot take. I think Chad Muma is the perfect running mate for Micah Parsons. I mean, I couldn't dial up a better running mate for Micah. Now, you got obviously Dean and you got Lloyd, but we're talking about day 2 here. You could argue you could fit him in there when it comes to perfect running mates. And before I did any research and before I wanted to see what everyone else was talking about, I'm like, man, this guy reminds me of Sean Lee. And I know he white, whatever, but you go look around the world and they are kind of comparing them to the same thing. And usually there's a twofold thought process when someone says, well, he compares to Sean Lee, right? They, one, talk about his high football IQ, his high level instincts. And that's exactly what Chad Muma has. He can diagnose it with the best of them. He sees it, he goes, and he's very aware, not only in the run game, but also in the pass game, because he used to be a safety, right? And what also comes with the whole Sean Lee thing is, but he's not a plus athlete. That's not the case here with Chad Muma. He is a plus athlete. Now, is he Quay Walker? No. Is he Harris? No. But he is a plus athlete. He played safety, I believe, in high school and then transitioned into linebacker, but not your Troy Anderson type. Right? I thought he picked up the linebacker much quicker than you would think a Troy Anderson would have. And I think he became one of the best tacklers in the nation. Professor O talked about that being a great trait for Quay Walker. Chad Muma has missed, I think, 8% missed tackle percentage in his career at Wyoming. I think you can plug Chad Muma in right now in the middle linebacker, and it frees up Micah Parsons in so many different ways. And I'll go out on a limb and say, God dang it, he'd be an upgrade to LVE. Right now. I understand we love athleticism. I understand we love the fast, the super, he runs a 4.4. I understand all that. But I think to truly unleash the beast, you've got to have a guy there that you don't have to worry about next to Micah. When I say the beast, I mean Micah Parsons. And I think you can interchange him, because don't get it twisted, he ain't just some thumper dude that just has to stay in the middle. Like, he's played all over in Wyoming in regards to the linebacker positions. He can cover. He can come downhill. He's quick. He's aware in the pass game. Like I said, 3 interceptions, 3 pass breakups last year. Tackling machine. I'm extremely high on Chad Muma, and I'm trying to hide my bias, but I can't do it. I think he can come in right this moment, and I think he can upgrade. My bad, Joe. I don't want to see one more worth the pour. He can help upgrade the linebacking position by default, right? Because it frees up Micah Parsons, And it also, in a sense, kind of frees up Jabril Cox to do versatile things for you. I do think Jabril Cox can be better in the run game. I saw him do it a little bit in preseason, but I know Chad can, right? So if I could plug him right in the middle and it allows Micah to come down, then I could put Jabril in next to him as opposed to LVE or Neal or Gifford, I feel a lot better about it. So that is my number one guy on day 2 is Chad Muma. I will have a party if the Cowboys took him. Don't expect it to happen. Not a 30 visit guy. I'm not hearing too much about him in regards to being interested by Dallas. He played in Wyoming, small school. We know how they feel about that. So I don't expect it, but I think he'd be a fantastic. I think Chad Muma is going to turn into one of those. And I'm not trying to put those expectations on it, but Zach Thomas type of just tackling machines. And there's some young people in the chat that 25 and under that don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Just go research Zach Thomas. The dude was everywhere. He's much bigger than Zach Thomas, but I'm just saying in the sense of being a tackling machine. Party at Sky and Jeff's house. Yeah, if we draft him, I'm doing a draft show. Not the full thing, but I will throw a party. 100%. What y'all talking about? G10, are any of Muma, Walker, or Harris there at 56? What are our needs? And he just listed off the entire team. Tyrone Crawford, Christian Harris starts over LVE. Yeah, I think so too. He ain't the only one that will come in here and start over LVE, but 100%. Would I reach for him at 24? I don't think I'd reach for. No. Now, funny thing is that if we come back here next year, April 19th, 2023, and Chad Muma has a 105 tackle season and he's on the all rookie team and things like that, he'll probably be one of the 24 best rookies in the league. But there's going to be higher guys rated on your board. I don't think I reach. Damn it. I like him. Don't do that to me because I like him. Okay. B702, agree because he's the type of player that allows 11 to move around 100. Facts, Jay Lombardi. It says facts. Muma and Dean have great instincts like Lee. And that's the thing, right? Like Dean, Muma, I think are just perfection that will help Micah Parsons kind of spread his wings a little bit. Mike Armstrong and Nick Benito is nice at edge. Yeah. So there are some that are kind of coming in late. They look at this list and like, yo, what are you talking about? We'll review it here. Nick Benito's number 5. I call that my cheap pick because he's not really a defense or a linebacker. He's more of an edge rusher, stand-up outside linebacker. But I'm looking at him as a twitched-up Leo, a guy that's not necessarily a linebacker, not necessarily defense end, just a chess piece that I think could be a fantastic rushing and passer with Micah Parsons and has some ability to spy, has some ability to chase and run and hit and talk shit. I think Nick Benito would be fantastic. Leo Chenal's number 4, more of your traditional linebacker, thumper type of dude. I'm not my favorite guy on this list, but he got game. So I think that he can be good for somebody. I just don't know the fit here, and that's probably contradicting to what the show's about, right? Fits. Number 3 got Christian Harris, maybe behind Chad because I'm just high on him. The most well-rounded backer on the list out of Alabama. Quay Walker, number 2. Upside, talk about ceiling. I think he may have one of the highest, but it's all going to come down to his mental processing. And number 1 for me is Chad Muma. He's a plug-and-play, I think, immediate factor because I think he'll be a tackling machine. I think he's a high football IQ guy in both the run game, the passing game, and he unlocks Micah Parsons. So that is my top 5 day 2 backers. And when I say day 2, I mean 2nd and 3rd round. 4th round and on, that could be an entirely different list. But those are my guys right there, Cowboys Nation. Back to Muma. Brian says he moves very well. Check his short shuttle. Go look at his RAS, his relative athletic score. He up there with all of them. He's up there. Now, he ain't a 10 like a Brandon Smith, but he's up there. So I don't want people to get it twisted. When you hear him and you hear Sean Lee, you think, oh, so he's not really that type of athlete. No, he's an athlete. He just ain't Micah. Let me read some more and I get to the phone lines. I got you, Los. Hang tight, brother. Remember, we got Luke Gifford, our best linebacker by a mile, says Toxic Tom. Man, if that was the case, he'd be playing. But I do like Luke. Don't get it twisted. All right, let's get to... Ooh. C said Dean reminds him of Darius Leonard. Listen now, we get a Darius Leonard on this team. Let's get to Los real quick before we wrap up this show. Los, what you got for me, man? Send us out of here.
Good morning, Sky. Hope you're having a great morning. Great show as always.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking my call last minute. Should have woke up sooner, man. Should have had my coffee. But just with my 3 linebackers for day 2, I only have 3.
Okay.
And these three names are like Dan Quinn, like bailed up to the ceiling. And number 1, as you have it correct, Sky, Chad Mumba. You're talking about quick getting to the ball and unlocking Michael Parsons.
Chad,
you can use a whole field.
Chad who?
Chad Mumba.
Oh, I thought you said Mumba.
The
Mumba mentality. We won't. If the Cowboys draft Chad Mumba, it's going to be the Mumba mentality.
Yep. Now my second is Troy Anderson. Still the same size, quick, get to the ball. And my third is he still has work to do, but he can be great in coverage, and he with the IQ that Michael has for year 2 is Darian Beavers from Cincinnati. So those are my top 3 fields for round 3 or 2.
Interesting. You think he'll go in the second or third? As I look at him as more day 3. That's why I don't include him on this list. Who was your second guy? Oh, Troy. So I fought myself on Troy because I do like Troy Anderson too. It's without a doubt he's a project, but the athleticism is sky high. He's still learning a position. He's played everywhere. I think he does have a high football IQ, but it's one thing to have a high football IQ. It's another thing to understand how to use it at that position. I think Troy is still learning that. And to be honest with you, I probably could have put him in over Leo Chenal because I like him more. But I just think it's going to take a little bit more time for him to develop, where Leo is a linebacker.
And the only reason I didn't put like Leo Chenal or all these already solid linebackers is because I already know they're solid. I want someone who can like have a high ceiling that we can maybe steal in the draft, that maybe that will be on the board, and we can input with Dan Quinn's system, and then teach him the ropes. Because you said it, Sky. You give Dan Quinn a good linebacker with good quality traits, he'll make some magic happen, And that's all I have to say. You have a great morning, and with always, tune in every morning to watch A to Z Sports with my man Skywalker Jedi, the great film.
Appreciate you, Los, as always, man. Now, CB, you like me. You on CP time. I'm gonna get you in here though. What's up, B?
What's good with you, man?
You on that CP time at the end of the show. What's up?
You already know. No, man, I was thinking, man, and I just wanted to run this by you real quick. I know you're talking about linebackers and everything, but I was just sitting here thinking the past couple of days, and I wanted to know, do you think the Cowboys, that they just created a whole bunch of unnecessary needs?
100%.
Like when I sit here and look at this, I feel like they're going to take a guard or they're going to take the wrong wide receiver in the first round. And I'm sitting here like, I'm not a big Zion Johnson fan. I've told you that from the jump. I'm not a big Zion Johnson fan. But if they did take him, can you tell me the difference between Zion Johnson and what's the kid that they let go? Connor Williams.
Connor?
Is there a big difference? Yeah, is there a big difference?
Oh, I think so. I think Connor. I think Zion's hands are better. I think when he latches onto you, it's tough to get off. I think he anchors better. I think he's a guard's guard. So? Where Connor, I'm not saying Zion's just all pro, but I think Connor was a tackle. Sub 300-pound tackle in college, coming into the pros, right? He ain't put on his big boy weight until year 2 or 3, and even then, that functional strength never really came around, where I think Zion does have it. So I don't know. I don't see them being similar. I think Zion is a guard's guard, and Connor is a tackle that was playing guard, and it showed for 4 years, right?
Right. Let me ask you a question. Would you have been pissed if they re-signed him on a 1-year deal?
Pissed? I'd have been annoyed. I'll say yes.
Okay. And the reason why I'm asking some of these questions is because I feel like when I'm just looking at these boards, and I feel like a lot of the players that the Cowboys seem to like are players that it seems like they're pushing up the board. Because I'm not the biggest Traylon Burks fan. I've told you that. And I'm not the biggest Zion fan, but it seems like those are the Cowboys guys. Like,
so
George Pickens is my number 3 wide receiver. I would take him if I was locked in the 24 and I couldn't move. Like Broadus always say, what if the phones aren't ringing? I'm taking George Pickens. If he on the board when I'm at 24, I'm taking him. He's my number 3 wide receiver.
But is Traylon Burks a top 32 player if you have a board?
He's not even in my top 5 of wide receivers.
Well, bro, it's going to be like 6 receivers taken in the first round, though. So I'm saying as an overall board, is he in your top 32? Because I don't really look at it as a reach for Traylon. I mean, I definitely don't think it's a reach. But if you say, hey, Traylon Burks is my number 30 player, is that really that much of a reach? I wouldn't call it so. It's a six pick difference between where you stand and your board. Now, obviously, it depends on who else is on the board, right? Like if Traylon's number 30, and then I'm just throwing out a name here, Devontae Wyatt is 21 on your board, and then he falls to 24, then you're going to forego a guy that's higher on your board for what is perceived more of a need. But DT's kind of a need too, so.
Yeah. But the thing that makes me a little comfortable with it is because I do trust Will McClay. And ever since that debacle that they had when they took Terrence Williams and what's the kid name, the center, Travis Frederick, after that year, that's when Will McClay took over the draft board because the Cowboys weren't prepared to pick. And ever since then, I think they've done a hell of a job of drafting really in the first round. So I trust them, but at the same time, I'm just a little weary about certain positions being pushed up the board because they feel like they need them. And I just don't want to see them take a position, man, where they feel like they just have to. Like, you can't convince me.
Yeah, you don't want to pick for need, but here's the thing. They don't have just one need, right? Like, they have a handful of them. So, in a way, the whole need thing and drafting for need will probably work out for you this year because you don't got just one glaring hole. You got a bunch of little holes that you're going to need to have. And I also want everybody to remember the draft isn't over in day one.
Right.
You still got 2 other picks in the top 100 that you need to be able to hit on. So we all know Cowboys fans, though, and just fans in general, we're not going to be everybody's not going to be happy with the pick because we all have our own guys that we want. So day one, it's not going to be a consensus if everybody agrees. Hell, go look at Micah Parsons. Me, Boss Cowboy, and the OC were throwing a party. But if you look in the chat, boy, they was pissed. You look around the Twitter sphere, boy, they was pissed. But we were throwing a party.
I was one of them. I was like, Micah Parsons, because I thought he was I didn't know he can rush the passer, bro. And that's I didn't know. And are you really going to tell me the Cowboys knew? Did he show that at Penn State?
He did show that he could blitz.
He was just going to be but I'm saying off the edge, bro. Like, I didn't know he had that.
See, if you did your homework, not you personally, but if the scouts did their homework, which they did, they would realize Micah Parsons was a demon as a pass rusher in high school. Like, the only reason why he moved to linebacker because they needed him at Penn State to play that position. They had guys to rush the passer. And he said, so this is what happened. They moved him to linebacker. All right, no biggie. I'll become one of the best linebackers in the nation. Like, he's just that damn good. And so it never shocked me because he played running back on offense. He played defensive end on defense. And he was a terror. Like, it wasn't even fair, honestly, like half the time seeing him rush the passer.
Yeah, I was one of them people, man. Like, I could keep it a buck. I was just like, what are we doing?
See, I mean, we can do revisionist history. They did do their homework because they said, well, can he rush the passer, Dan? We don't want to take an off-ball linebacker. That's the whole thing. At number 11 or number 10 because we want them to be able to rush the passer. And Dan said, yeah, he can rush the passer. To me, that goes to show that Jerry had no freaking clue, right? Because if you were a scout, right, if you were a true general manager, you would know that. You would knew he can get after the passer from a blitzing standpoint, but you're talking about from a defensive end standpoint. I looked at it this way, and I'll wrap it up. I told people, do not put a label on this player, Michael Parsons. Just call him a damn playmaker. And then that's what it is. What will happen is you'll say, you're right. He's not just some off-ball linebacker. He's a playmaker. So rightfully so, I'm going to put him where he belongs. And to me, that was one of, if not the most talented player in the draft, and obviously the best defensive player in the draft.
And that's what I'm hoping for, man, to be honest, at 24. I'm hoping for a player that, that Dan Quinn can get his hands on again because I trust Dan Quinn. I do not trust the offensive coaching staff, and you always say it. Why the hell don't they don't mess with the defensive side of the ball? They always seem to meddle on the offensive side of the ball. And, bro, you hit that right on the head. That's why I'm hoping that player that's top of their board is a defensive player because I trust Dan Quinn, and they don't mess with the defensive side of the ball. They don't. You don't hear them talking about nothing over there. Yeah. Nothing. But I'm going to let you go, G, man. I know you got to go, man. I just wanted to tap in with you for a second.
Appreciate you as always, B.
All right, G. I'll let you.
Yes, sir. I got you, Professor O. I'll block his ass, whoever this is. Block. I didn't even peep it, so you were on it, Professor O. I came in at the tail end of all that, whatever that is. Yeah. It's going to be interesting round one. Because I'm already accepting the fact that there are literally 4 positions. Linebacker, defensive tackle, 5. Edge, wide receiver, and guard that the Cowboys can go. Do I throw in tackle? So I'm not going into the draft with this thought process of that we have to take one specific position or one specific side of the ball. I do think they are open to taking a bunch because they probably have to be. So it all depends on their board, and we don't know their board. All we can go off of is what your board is. Let me lock this up. And how you feel. So it's going to be one of those things where, honestly, it's a wait and see. I can get behind a handful of players at 24. I've been saying this all off season. There's going to be a guy at 24. 100% going to be a guy that you should be able to get behind, Cowboys Nation. It's just a matter of, personally, if there's people that don't like Burks, right? There's people that don't like Kenyon Green. There's people that don't like Zion, that don't like all these other players. But at the end of the day, these are good players. They good. They have flaws. Nobody's hit their ceiling in this draft. They're flawed players. But I do think they are top 30, top 35 guys. And you're picking at 24. You're going to get one of those top 30, top 35 guys. Now, how do we fit them in? Where do they fit if it's defense and if it's defensive tackle or whatever? 3 tech, 1 tech, off ball, linebacker, Leo, et cetera, et cetera. That becomes a different nuanced conversation, but there's going to be a player there. Now, Los is playing with me. Hey, Sky, we getting Tyler Smith at 24. If I had a Seth Rollins drop, I'd press that button. If we get Tyler Smith at 24, it'll be a burn it down type of situation. I won't be happy. It'll be just like last year when we took an Osa or somebody, I'd be like, man, what is this? Eventually, I'll come around to it, but I would not be happy, Camper. Oh, did I do a Chris Collinsworth? Well, here's a guy. Yeah, I hope I didn't do that. My bad, T-Mac. My bad. All right, good show today. Brian says, I was wrong as hell. I was right about Slater, but so wrong about Parsons. Sky Tuck Foots all called it, though. A lot of people, well, I like to say this, a lot of people where everybody was wrong. Nobody thought he was going to be that. As much as I love Michael Parsons, did I think he was going to come in here and break records like that? No, I didn't think that. But I do got receipts. that states that I think Michael Parsons is going to come in here and be the best linebacker on this roster over the last that you would have had on this roster over the last 5 years. I think it was, and it clearly was. Can we not get a Taco Charlton, Jay Lombardi? That kind of what it would feel like to me if you get Tyler. No disrespect to you, Tyler Smith, because you are a guard, right? I feel like guards can figure it out. But in the first round, my expectations, you can call it a stubborn Cowboy fan, whatever you want. Tyron Smith, first round Pro Bowl. Travis Frederick, first round Pro Bowl. Zach Martin, first round Pro Bowl. I ain't saying they got to be that year one Green, Zion Smith, whoever the hell they take. But I'm going to be real with you. And by the time them 4 or 5 years are up, I'm hoping we are inviting you back for a long-term deal. That's the kind of expectations I'm looking at. All right. With that said, let's get on up out of here. Check out Mauricio Rodriguez later on tonight on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Hit up A to Z Sports Dallas.com for all the Cowboys needs. Good show today. Good show. Appreciate y'all for sticking to the plan. I know it's been a crazy last few days around Cowboys Nation, but we got through it today. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:15-ish. I gotta say that. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to rap, and come on back through tomorrow morning, and we'll get this thing popping. Love y'all. We out here. Peace. Shout out to Professor Odamad Gord.
Get your damn act together.